My absolute favorite thing to do videos on is weird ammo. I love doing ammo reviews like we're doing today. However, all three of these ammo boxes are full of ammos. This one is just random crap. This one's Russian 7.62x54R. This one is non-Russian 7.62x54R. And there's some on top of both of these. And then I have a box in my closet full of Turkish 8mm Mauser because I like to review every year of 8mm Mauser, and I'm only missing a few years of that. So what that means is that I have quite the backlog of ammunition reviews to do. I love doing ammo videos, but they take a lot of time. So the video that you're going to see on the range today was filmed at least a year ago, at least pre-mustache 8mm Mauser Man. So you are looking at something that's a little bit older. However, the data in this video is still really good, and this part I'm recording right now. Let's get into the shooting.
You'll have to forgive any background noise and a little bit of wind, but today we have FN 7.62x51, so this is coming out of Belgium. $2,750. $2,727. $2,787. $2,750. $2,751. $2,785. $2,726. $2,716. $2,712.
So that was our time on the range. Our velocity low was 2,712 feet per second, and our velocity high was 2,787 feet per second. That gives us a total spread from lowest to highest of 75 feet per second, and an average velocity of 2,744.9 feet per second. Every single one of the rounds fired correctly. Now the velocity spread and the velocity average is exactly in line with what we would expect from this type of ammunition. Since this is all NATO spec ammo, when we talk about most 7.62x51, it's all going to be roughly the same, similar to how all M855 or all M193 is going to be roughly the same, no matter what country it's from. So this ammo is exactly in line with the others in its category. It ain't cheap being an 8mm Mauser man, and it ain't easy to have this much drip. That's why I'd like to tell you about 3 ways that you can support this channel. Number 1 is all the YouTube stuff. Like, comment, subscribe. You already know the drill. It tells YouTube that this is the content you want to see, and it gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling inside. Second, we have 3 awesome stickers available for purchase. Simply send $5 to the Venmo in the description, and in What's This For, be sure to include the term retro, logo, or subscribed, so that I send you the right one, along with your address. You can also send your address to the email in the description if that makes you feel safer. Third, in the description there is a link to Player. Player is like YouTube and Patreon put together, but they don't take as much of your money, so it goes to supporting the content that you want to see. Finally, I'd like to add that 20% of all of the money that comes into this channel goes to supporting Fabrique Nationale, an organization that helps fight sex trafficking worldwide. Enjoy the rest of the video. Normally at this point I would open up a box and talk about the history of this ammo. However, I found this ammo loose, so I don't have a box for it. I will show you the head stamp though. Okay, so here we have our head stamp. At the top here is the NATO cross, and then we have FN, Fabrique Nationale, and then -69. 69 is the year of manufacture. Now the sealant inside of here appears to be either purple or black. I think it's purple. I heard somebody mention that on a forum, and it looks like that to me. And then you can tell there's 3 little crimps holding the primer in place. 2 other things I wanted to point out. This ammo came and it was tarnished in several places. You can see one right there. This top red actually looks pretty good, and these are unfired, as you can tell by the primer there. So these rounds were just tarnished. Maybe they were in an ammo can or something like that. I'm not exactly sure, but the ammo was not in the best quality when I received it. Last thing I wanted to show, if you look down inside of here, you'll see that it is Berdan primed. If you've ever wondered, FN just stands for Fabrique Nationale, which is the Belgian manufacturing. However, Fabrique Nationale is the name of arsenals in several different countries because several different countries have similar languages. So, if ammo is labeled just FN or FNM, it should be Belgian, versus some of the other ones will have FN and some third letter. That is just one way to know this ammo is Belgian and it's made from 1969, which is where that 1969 date comes from. Now, with 7.62x54R and 8mm Mauser, there is plenty of information out there collected by historians about the history of these rounds and of these factories and all of those kinds of things. However, with 7.62x51, I think since it's not as historical yet, it's a little harder to find historical sources for this kind of ammo. So I was a little limited and I can't share as much information as I normally would with 8mm Mauser or 7.62x54R. Now, the really brief history of this round is that after World War II, countries were trying to adopt a slightly smaller cartridge, and in Europe, the one that was seeming to prevail between Belgium and Great Britain was a 270 round. So they made the FN FAL in 270. So eventually they brought the FAL to the US and they said, hey, this is what we think would be a good standardized NATO rifle. Eventually that rifle became known as the right arm of the free world, so it did become pretty standardized. Except the United States, being the United States, wanted to be different. And they preferred the M14, and the United States forced all of those other countries to adopt a 30 caliber round, which is 7.62x51. Now, isn't it interesting that the US convinced everyone else to go towards a 30 caliber round, and then, I feel like we're moving towards a 270 round right now. Anyway, I am sure Belgium is still making 7.62x51 ammo, because they do have several 7.62x51 firearms. The bullets ranged from 143.1 grains to 144.2 grains. That's a total spread of 1.1 grains and an average of 143.6 grains. This is, again, what we would expect from this spec of ammunition. Okay, looking at the bullets, they're just a FMJ boat tail. They are not magnetic, and then you'll notice right here that there is a sealant around the back of the bullet there. That sealant is to keep the humidity and moisture out, which is one of the things I like to see when I look at rounds like this. And then there's the crimp around right there. I'll show you the base. It's a pretty typical base. The powder ranges from 43.4 grains to 44.9 grains, and that spread is 1.5 grains from the lowest to the highest, but there was an outlier on the low end. So if you remove that one outlier, the spread becomes just 0.3 grains. So it goes from being the largest spread we've tested so far to the narrowest if you just throw out that one outlier, which I think is really interesting. Now, this kind of powder is really hard to measure because it's so small and it's just really easy for there to be spillage that I miss as the one measuring it. So anyway, that gives us an average of 44.6 grains, which is again in line with the other ammos that we've tested in this series, because it's all made to a similar specification. Okay, as you can see right here, this is ball powder. Sometimes I have ball and disc powder, but this one is just ball powder. All right, finally, let's talk about my opinion of this ammo. Generally, what I'm finding in the 7.62 NATO series is that when you find 7.62 NATO ammunition on the surplus market, at this point in time, it's almost all good because it's being made from, you might find some stuff from the 1950s, but really most of what I've seen on the surplus market is from the 70s and on. So I'm going to say this ammunition is good to go if you find it. One thing you should note is that this ammo is Berdan primed. So if you are a reloader in the United States, you probably won't be able to reload this ammunition, but I do not believe it is corrosive. All of that being said, I am 8mm Mauser Man, and I fired Belgian 7.62x51, but I lived on.
Which proves it's hard to get the best of a man named John.
Big John. Big John.